Hello, welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at the top 10 teams for the Open Great League. We're going to have the Great League again, I think for 2 weeks actually, which is kind of cool. And after the last week where we had Master League plus, I think it was the actually Summer Cup, I think it was, which were neither of them really nice. It's kind of nice to have the Great League back again, a little bit more freedom in terms of picks, what you want to play here. And so hopefully you enjoy this type of video. If you do, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. Would really appreciate it, helps out the channel, and it is free. So let's move on to team number 1. We are not going to have a meta review here today because only thing that really changed is Goodra. We're going to have 2 teams for this Pokemon as well, and anything else is kind of the same from the last time. We're going to have some teams that have been decent in the first week, teams from the last season that still most likely going to be decent this season. So yeah, hopefully you enjoy this type of video. Anyway, let's move on to team number 1. This is the team that I showcased once and also got kind of at the same time as well someone sending in their battles with this, like the kind of team here. We're going to have a Zero in the lead with actually Ice Beam and Hydro Pump, allowing you to beat Pokemon like the Bastion a little bit easier. You can also go for the standard moveset of Player of Ice Beam, totally fine as well. But yeah, I went for this. Also, the person that sent me some battles went for this. Annihilate stays up here in the back. They actually went for the Shadow Claw variant of Typhlosion. I think Incinerate is still a little bit better. I went for Dartrix. You can also go for any kind of other fire-type Pokemon, like a Skeledirge would work out pretty well. But also something like a Tropius, something like maybe even a Victory Bell would work out. So as you can see here, very decent on paper as well. Looks like a solid team for sure. And also against like Carbing, it's kind of nice to have Hydro Pump. Hydro Pump is kind of underrated as well. Shadow Typhlosion, of course, one of the best Pokemon of the season here. Season itself, I can't wait for the next season because this season, of course, has not too much to offer, but the next season is going to be very exciting, so definitely stay tuned for that. Next one, team number 2, is a team that you know for sure already as well if you follow my channel. We're going to have a team here that has similar different kind of ways of playing for like the last few seasons already. We're going to have the lead of the Magnezone. We're going to have also the other option here of the Alolan's Handslash, which is kind of interesting. The Annihilate as a Say Swap, or the Gligar as a Say Swap, and then the Manton in the back. You can also go for the Cresselia in the back, or the Gligar as a Pokemon in the back. But honestly, I feel like that the Annihilate Say Swap is just the best one in the current meta. You have an anti-fairy type Pokemon in the lead, you have Pokemon in the back that's still kind of neutral for it. It's just a very solid team. Like, honestly, it is still one of the best teams that I have played so far. And so I'm also going to take a look at this team again to see if this is going to change a little bit throughout the season. But I feel like it might be even a little bit better because Pokemon, at least like Whiscash, are not as common anymore. And so I feel like this team has quite some play. Moving on to team number 3. We're going to have a team here with the Nerfed Lantern, and I feel like Nerfed Lantern is something that I want to take a look at again as well. I think I actually wanted to make a video but then lost the recordings of it the last time Great League was available, so I'm most likely going to take a look at this Pokemon again. Really unfortunate to be fair, but Spark Lantern, very good Pokemon still, even with Spark. Sableye, Say Swap, kind of nice, and Jumpluff in the back, or the Tropius in the back, or there are quite some other Pokemon as well. Like, you can even decide to go ahead and just say, I'm just going to go for a Skarmory in the back, and you're going to have one of the strongest Pokemon in the current meta, all kind of fine. Yeah, this team is just kind of nice in general. You kind of want to have an answer against Grass-type Pokemon in the back, of course, because you have that weakness with the Lantern or also the Swampert here. But still, I feel like Lantern is kind of underrated most likely after the nerf, but it's still a very good Pokemon. And I kind of want to remember the team that I used before with the Lantern, which really was nice for me, and where I kind of completely lost the recordings. But yeah, most likely not going to be capable of doing that. Team number 4, we're going to have a team here that is also kind of from last season, where you can use either Annihilate or Gligar as a safe swap for this team, which kind of makes it a very safe team. Like, this team itself is one of the safest teams that you can run for the Open Great League. Lickitung, very solid Pokemon right now. Also, the Empoleon is still kind of nice. I would imagine that the Empoleon gonna get nerfed next season, but yeah, mainly because of the steering being too strong on Skarmory. But anyway, this team looks like really good on paper. I feel like Annihilate Say Swap is a little bit better than Gligar Say Swap, my personal opinion. Other people that run the Gligar Say Swap, like, it really depends on your kind of playstyle as well. But one of the more strongest teams here as well. I feel like this is a very solid team, especially with the Shadow Empoleon being quite good in the current meta still. Team number 5. We're going to have a Cresselia in the lead. We're going to have a new moveset on both of the Pokemon. For Cresselia and Talonflame, PvPoke recently changed the recommended movesets for Cresselia to Moonblast instead of Future Sight, and for Talonflame to Fly and Brave Bird. And I really want to take a look at the Talonflame, especially with a new moveset, because I feel like this might have a lot of play. Fly and Brave Bird have seen quite some play already in the play Pokemon tournaments, so that's kind of something where it definitely had already a lot of success. But I'm curious if it's going to be the same for, PvP for Go Battle League itself as well, because I like Flame Charge quite a lot on this Pokemon. Flame Charge on 2 shields is quite nice, but still, this is very consistent. Like, you're always going to have the same kind of results on this Pokemon, which is kind of cool as well. So, might be solid. Here, only issue maybe for Relegator as, like, a Pokemon to deal with. There might be other options as well. You can go for something like a Superior in the lead, which also would work out as well, or like some kind of grass type Pokemon. But otherwise, a very cool team here, very strong team for sure. But let's move on to team number 6. This is going to be a very classic line, like literally most classic line possible. We're going to have the Pelipper, we have the Lickitung, we have the Stunfisk. Why do I like Lickitung more as a Say-So compared to Vigoroth in the meta? Is just literally Annihilate. Annihilate is just such an annoying Pokemon to deal with. But let's take a look at Stunfisk and Pelipper together. Basically, any kind of Pokemon there is gonna die to one of them, which is kind of hilarious. Even against like Cresselia or Pelipper, which like both have kind of a lot. Of course, Pelipper is neutral, but also Pelipper takes super effective damage from those rock slides. And honestly, like this team is amazing. I think this is going to be one of the teams that I kind of want to take a look at as well, because I feel like this has so much play. It is such an OG line, but I feel like it's such a good line to play right now as well. Some other options here as well, of course, on the screen. They play sometimes a little bit differently, but this is like the way I would have went for this team. So let's move on to team number 7. Skarmory in the lead is quite cool. Skarmory is very, very strong, and also Gligar and Skarmory is a very solid core. Double Flyer, you might think, but coverage is kind of different there as well. I mean, you have a lot of fast move pressure with the Steel Wing on Skarmory. Yes, you have like Brave Bird and Sky Attack as like the flying type coverage moves, but Gligar have like this with the Wing Attack and Aerial Ace a little bit better. And Dig, of course, is a kind of nice coverage move. Whiskash in the back going to allow you to have basically a double ground backline, allowing you to beat other steel type Pokemon, which usually is going to be a little bit difficult for that Skarmory. So has quite a lot of play. Alternatives here, quite a lot of water types in the back that could work out as well. You can also put a Swampert there, of course. You can put like any kind of go-to water type there. You can also use a Say-So of a Relegator, which then though would make you a little bit weak to those electric type Pokemon. This is exactly why I went here for Gligar and Whiskash as like the preferred version. I do see the point of maybe even putting Poliwrath here as well, which you're going to have in a similar way in, I think, the next team actually. But I feel like it's still going to be better to have Whiskash in the back just to counter those Charger bugs, to counter those electric type Pokemon. Would be quite nice for it, I would say. Team number 8. This is actually not the team that I expected here, but it is still going to be fine. And the team that I was talking about is going to be the team that afterwards, I think. But anyway, we're going to have here the Registeel, we're going to have the Sableye, we're going to have the Mandibuzz. You can also use the Goodra here as a Say-So if you want to try out your Community Day Goodra, which I totally did not forget to evolve for the Great League and Ultra League. Love that. But yeah, at least I would for the Master League evolve, which is totally fine. Anyway, Registeel, very good Pokemon, kind of underrated. Nobody is really using it for whatever reason. 2 good answers against Annihilate in the back here with the Sableye, the Mandibuzz, and also the Trevenant as a potential option. Trevenant going to make you a little bit weak to a Fire-type Pokemon, so you might want to take, I don't know, depends, like really depends on if you're going to encounter a lot of Fire-type Pokemon. With the recent addition of Typhlosion to the meta, I could see this. That's why I kind of went for Mandibuzz as a better option. Goodra, you can also use Goodra in the back if you want to. Like, yeah, basically Sableye is the best Say-So for this team. You could even go for Mandibuzz, Say-So, and like Sableye in the back. Like, honestly, like the 4 Pokemon here basically for the second and third spot, you can just kind of change them around how you want to. Also, Lead like doesn't really matter either. Like Empoleon or Registeel are both fine. And so, yeah, very solid team. I feel like definitely something I would recommend you to try out. That's kind of what I was talking about, team number 9. This is going to be kind of inspired by 2-0 Butters team, who had great success getting up to like the first page of the leaderboards last season with Goodra. This season we're going to have also Thunder Punch on this Pokemon, which is kind of interesting at least. I don't think it's going to be better, I have to say. I really doubt it's going to be better. But Say-So here was for them, I think, the Poliwrath. Here, basically, you would be ABA weak against Fairy type Pokemon because both Poliwrath as well as the Goodra are going to be weak against it. If you avoid or like want to avoid this one, you can go always for the say swap of that Feraligatr, which won't help you out with that kind of issue. But anyway, this team should still work out quite well. A little bit of an issue can be the Registeel, but again, Registeel is also not really too common yet. But yeah, otherwise, very solid team, definitely something that you should try out. Final team for today, and there's a reason why it's the final team for today, because I don't really have to talk too much about it. It is just there, and it is just toxic, and it still does work out, and it's still going to be better. One thing that I want to talk about, though, is that last season there was a team that was similar to the showcase as well, and that people got upset about, and whatever, that had the Magnezone in the lead instead of the Bastion. I would not recommend you to do this anymore. Why? Because we have Typhlosion. Typhlosion completely destroys the team if you go for Magnezone in the lead. So just to make sure that you're not going to be destroyed by Fire-type Pokemon, Bastion and now is kind of the only option. I guess you could go for Carbing, but it's just not as great because of Skarmory. So yeah, I feel like this is kind of the only way of playing it. I feel like Deoxys defense has a lot of play in the current meta though, so we might take a look at this Pokemon again as well. But yeah, this is going to be it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Also, like, new background might change a lot as well because yeah, new flat and house and whatever. And so yeah, I'll see you then. Bye bye.